All right, so we're going to take a quick look at Shadow, a cloud gaming service. It's really not just cloud gaming, it's basically actually renting you a full-blown Windows 10 running PC in the cloud that you're going to have remote access to. This is mostly used for gaming, but really you can install just about any application on it and use it. So let's take a look at what's going on here. Geforce Now had a ton of people using it since 2015 while it was in beta, but a lot of people didn't know about it or didn't care, and as soon as it came out of beta, it started getting more popular. You were able to sign up for the founders. We've been covering all the game losses that Geforce Now has had, companies coming out backing Geforce Now. There's a ton of videos out there. There's quite a few on my channel covering it. And now today, Shadow threw out some news. They're wanting to get more competitive with Stadia and Geforce Now, so they've lowered their prices. They're working on some more tiers. And yeah, so let's take a look at what they've got going on. Now, I've signed up for Shadow, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit, but excuse me. Cloud gaming service Shadow lowers price to $11.99 a month to compete with Stadia and GeForce Now. And that $11.99 a month is for a 1 year. It's $14.99 a month if you just want to go monthly, and you can cancel anytime. So, cloud gaming service Shadow from the French startup Blade is drastically lowering its price in a bid to compete with a new wave of platforms from Google and Nvidia. Now, Shadow's service, which offers a full PC in the cloud with no restrictions on what you can download, will cost as low as $11.99 a month for the platform's Boost tier. That gets you a cloud PC powered by a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080 graphics card, a quad-core 3.4 GHz processor, 12 gigabytes of RAM, and 256 gigabytes of storage. I don't mind it being that low. You can kind of install what you need to use, a couple of games, couple programs, whatever, maybe all of your digital store launchers. But being that low, I hope that it is a SSD. So we'll see. We're going to jump over and check out Shadow's website here in a minute. Prior to today's announcement, Shadow was only available for $25 a month if you purchase the annual plan and $35 a month for the monthly subscription. Shadow had a brief run of $12.99 a month promotion for the annual plan last fall, but it's since discontinued the offering in the run-up to today's announcement, which that sounds like a little bit of a test to see if more people would sign up for a lower price. GeForce Now kind of still has an advantage because they have a free tier, and then they have the promotion right now for the $4.99 a month tier, which gets you 3 free months, and then $4.99 a month for 9 months after that, and then I think it goes to 10 if I'm not mistaken. So, in addition to the $11.99 a plan, Shadow is now offering a $24.99 a month Ultra plan that ups the GPU to an RTX 2080 card and a slight boost to the processor, 4 gigabytes of more RAM, and twice the storage. For $39.99 a month, the Infinite plan, Shadow will give you a remote PC with a Titan RTX card coupled with a 6-core, 4 gigahertz processor, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and 1 terabyte of storage. Pretty pricey, but if you can't afford a PC that high end, that's very expensive, it's not so pricey if you're talking about running a Titan RTX card with 32 gigabytes of RAM. The price drop should help Shadow stay competitive with offerings from Google Stadia, which doesn't have a lot of offerings, to be honest with right now. I'm holding off on signing up for them, but I will be doing it. As it turns out, I'm probably going to be covering a lot of cloud gaming services on this channel because it's a pretty new and up-and-coming thing, and I've been pretty excited about them on the way for a couple of years. While Stadia Pro currently costs $10 a month, Google doesn't actually offer subscribers access to a remote PC. Instead, you have to buy the games that only work on Stadia and access them through a special web portal. We all know this. NVIDIA's GeForce Now is more similar to Shadow in design in that NVIDIA lets you use your existing games on your Steam library on your Mac, PC, and Linux, and that's also Epic and Uplay. And Epic and Uplay have come out and backed NVIDIA GeForce Now. So Shadow does go one step further than NVIDIA by letting you access a full Windows 10 machine in the cloud instead of just launching games via Steam or other launchers. From there, you can install whatever software you like using Shadow. That also appears to help Shadow skirt the current licensing issues. Now, this is what I want to get a little more into that have led to big game publishers to yank their libraries from GeForce Now, which has been really aggravating, because Shadow advertises itself as a cloud computing platform that just happens to be a great way to play PC games. It doesn't seem like it's run into the same issues as Nvidia, which has positioned Geforce Now as more of a remote PC gaming platform that advertises the ability to play games. It's unclear whether big game publishers are simply turning a blind eye to Shadow, or if the company's cloud offering is indeed distinct enough from Geforce Now to avoid running afoul of potential copyright and licensing issues. Shadow's price drop may earn them attention, though, from these companies like Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, 2K Games, Hinterland, and others, all of which have removed their entire libraries from Geforce Now, which we've got many videos on. Regardless, Shadow's service isn't just getting new price tiers. The platform is also getting a revamped Android app, as well as a redesigned Android TV app. Both have been reworked to launch you directly into your existing game libraries, so you don't have to clumsily tinker with the Windows 10 desktop screen using touch input in a phone or gamepad connected to your TV. Shadow has a few other announcements it's making today. The platform is expanding its coverage from roughly 90% of the U.S. to support all 50 states. It's also revealing its plans to launch an experimental closed beta for virtual reality streaming later this year. So you won't need a super powerful machine for that. Wondering if there's going to be certain headsets that they're going to support and ones they're not. Are they all going to work? Who knows what they're going to have with that, but it sounds interesting. Lastly, Shadow is partnering with LG to help it expand its cloud gaming service in South Korea, and it's getting dedicated mobile and smart TV apps on LG devices. So that was a Verge article that had covered this earlier today with Shadow's announcement. What I want to do is jump over here to Shadow's website. I got this pulled up here from their community, Shadow Strikes Back. This was kind of intended at Geforce Now more than anything, from what I could tell by the news. But to be honest, I think I'm actually going to be a fan of both of these services. Each one offers something just a little bit different. But let's take a look and see what's going on here. So with Shadow, PC gaming becomes more accessible and even more powerful. With upgrades to its Ultra PC, Shadow brings more accessible PC gaming across all the United States. A new Shadow now coast to coast. Shadow has one of the biggest players in cloud PC gaming for years. So I didn't know a lot about Shadow until I really started looking into Stadia, covering Geforce Now and using it a lot since it came out of beta. And then I saw a bunch of people talking about how Shadow is a cloud computing service, mostly used for gaming. And I started looking into it, and then they had this announcement today. So that's where I went ahead and signed up for Shadow. I'm not able to use it yet, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So by 2018, it had made its mark in the United States, but the company didn't stop there. Fast forward to 2020, where Shadow has been iterating upon its flagship product, looking towards expansion. Shadow has dreamed of one day covering the entire United States, and it would seem that today is that day. So now we have these new tiers here. So the boost tier for $11.99 a month, that's if you do a full year, or it's $14.99 a month if you do it month by month. This is going to give you up to 4K. So notice all tiers here do say up to 4K, but when I looked at it earlier, this had been changed over to full HD. So I've seen it in two different ways here, so I need to really figure out what that's doing. Ray tracing, of course, which you can get with Geforce Now for the $5 a month promo right now. You would have to be up into Ultra, which is $24.99 a month if you get it for the year. That's $34.99 if you're going monthly. Same thing over here with Infinite, you 4K with ray tracing with your Titan RTX. This is a 4 gigahertz 6-core, 32 gigabyte RAM, 1 terabyte. These are all Windows 10 PCs. This is $39.99 for if you get a whole year, and I believe it's $49.99 for monthly. So this is a new experience, opening PC games to more people. Also involves making it much simpler with its new mobile and TV apps. So we were talking about this in the article. If you've got on your phone or on your TV, they've got it set up to where you're still running on your Windows 10 PC in the cloud, but you're getting a more comfortable user interface to get in here and get to your games a little bit easier like a console. And they're just automatically setting that up for you. So there are also new territories you can see here. They've added in technological improvements. Shadow has now been expanded to use 4 data centers in the U.S. to cover the territory coast to coast. We'll be monitoring very closely the service and quality in those newly opened states, and so far Advise potential users not to subscribe for competitive FPS gaming / esport. I don't think any cloud gaming service would recommend you use them for competitive, especially competitive FPS gaming or any esport. I think we're probably 3 to 5 years away on cloud gaming at least before it is reliable enough, fast enough for anything like that. You definitely need to still be playing locally for competitive. So, and then here they've got where they're going to be working on their Shadow VR. So they're going to be launching a Shadow VR exploration program to play the most recent VR games on Oculus Quest, powered by Shadow. Subscriptions will be open on March 12th, and then selected participants will be notified on March 23rd release of Half-Life. So it sounds like a select amount of people will get to start trying this out. It sounds like it's going to be Oculus Quest tied at the moment. And yeah, it looks like Half-Life is going to be the first game to get streamed in VR for Shadow. So this is pretty cool. Now, I did sign up for the boost. I signed up for the $14.99 for 1 month at a time to give it a shot. I'm going to be comparing Shadow with Geforce Now a lot. Because the base plan and Geforce Now's founders plan are very similar. I'm going to be running them at full HD, 1080p, and just testing them pretty close together and see how they feel, see how they're working, see how each platform goes, and whatnot. But it does take 1 to 4 days to set up. So when I set it up, I got a couple emails from them, and basically what it boils down to is it takes about 1 to 4 days for them to set you up, activate your account, in which case you'll get another email saying you're active. At that point, you can then log into Shadow on whatever devices or your PC or whatever, and you'll be able to get started with downloading your launchers, downloading your games, and getting things going. And it does act more like a regular PC. As soon as this gets activated for me, I will make a video on me first time going in, setting it up, and it's probably going to be just like doing it on a new PC where you got to go in and download everything. Now, this has been brought to my attention in some comments on other videos about the difference of Geforce Now and Shadow. Shadow is giving you a full-blown Windows 10 PC that you're accessing remotely. Where that falls in the legal category of differences, that they're not technically streaming you the game versus Geforce Now, where of course we're not getting a full-blown Windows PC. We are getting some kind of launcher effect there. We do sign into our launchers, Steam, Epic, Uplay, what have you. You do install the game, but it's an instant install, so you're not downloading it. So there are a few gray areas, and I understand why Geforce Now can get into some issues. But I still stand by the fact that no company should be pulling their games from Geforce Now. If they need to figure something out, they can figure it out. But it's a great place to play the games, and a lot of people are using the service. I'm starting to get more comments from people that do have those crappy laptops that are enjoying Geforce Now. The price is right. It works really well. People are buying games on Steam just because they could play them on Geforce Now, and I've had some comments on that. So definitely a great service. I back Geforce Now completely. I do not want any companies leaving. I still think it's greedy, but I do understand fully the difference between Shadow and Geforce Now. But with that said, Shadow is about to get the spotlight put on it. It dropped its price dramatically. It has a much easier tier to get in the beginning. A lot more people are going to start to find out what Shadow is. Not just because they came out with this announcement, but because Geforce Now has gotten so much attention. People are looking at cloud gaming more. So Shadow is going to get a spotlight put on it. And are those big companies that pulled out of Geforce Now going to think about saying something to Shadow? It's going to be hard when you're running a full-blown Windows 10 PC for them to say, oh, you can't use the game there. Even harder. Now, I will tell you, if any company comes out and says you can't play our games on Shadow, I will be on that. I will be making a video on that immediately, because as unfair as I believe it is to pull games from Geforce Now, I doubly believe would be unfair to say you can't play them on Shadow the way that they're set up here. So anyway, this video has gone on long enough. Thanks a lot for coming to check it out. When my Shadow gets activated, I'll start making videos on that. I'll start comparing Geforce Now, and when Stadia drops some more tiers or has some more options, I will add them to the mix too. Thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and feel free to leave your comment below. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you next time.